Welcome back. So happy to see you again. And a couple of days ago, I received a question in the comments about limited willpower and how much I care about it every day. So in today's video, I want to talk about why I'm not concerned about it at all based on my experience of being a top Pokemon Go player, a daily writer, and daily YouTuber. Plus give you some helpful tips on how you can have unlimited willpower and not limited willpower. But first, a quick story about me to illustrate the point. Back in 2016, I was introduced to the mobile game Pokemon Go and became very interested in it. I also realized that in order to become good at it, I had to put in the hours, I had to put in the steps and what's called in the Pokemon Go community grind, which means do the same walks, do the same catches, do the same activities over and over again. It was also around that time that I first heard about willpower and that you only had so much before you simply break down and go for any temptation and be lazy in my case. But then I thought, this is unfair. I want to be the best. I want to win. I don't want to be constrained by such things as willpower. But then I heard stuff like decision fatigue and the fact that the ultra successful people really optimize their life around that. And there's also been stories about individuals with high influence doing various stuff on the personal side that might not be the best. When I heard all that, I became more and more anxious. It felt like I had more of a threat towards what I wanted. But one day I came across other articles who said that willpower is not limited. Rather, if we believe that willpower was limited, then we would, as soon as we were tired, as soon as we felt a little lethargic, think, I'm done, I'm screwed, sorry. I have low battery in terms of the willpower department. But if we believe that the willpower was not limited, but rather an emotion that we could cope with but still do what we wanted, we would have unlimited willpower, at least until we crash and fall asleep. And when I saw that, I was filled with hope. And a couple of months later, after playing for quite a while, I came up with a term for myself, which I called grind mentality, which I'll probably make an entire video about. If you have that grind mentality, you just keep going, no matter how you feel, no matter how cold and miserable it is outside, no matter how many setbacks you get in the game itself, no matter if there are any crises on other parts of life, you just keep going. And become stronger and more experienced because of that. And that belief of unlimited willpower and grind mentality helped me do things I never thought possible. From walking 30 kilometers several days in a row, I believe 40 kilometers was my record, spending 6 hours outside in minus 10 degrees Celsius just walking and playing, and also being in cars 16 hours straight to do some car raiding, as it's called. You go to multiple places to tap down a very strong and overpowered Pokemon. And also working 2 part-time jobs while studying, and also getting the coordination skills while in the cars to tap various phones while deciding which place to go to and coordinate with other cars, stuff like that. Lots of things going on at that moment. And after a couple of years, I ended up becoming the first player in Sweden to reach 1 billion XP, which is kind of nice. And then half a year later, I quit Pokemon Go because I felt like I was done with it. I wanted something else. I was in a transitional period. So I dabbled first in the master's degree and then into entrepreneurship. And then I started to write daily on my new blog instead. I remembered there the concept of unlimited willpower and told myself that if I just show up at 6 a.m. writing an article, no matter how bad I feel or how bad it's going to be, or more likely how short it's going to be, it will be okay. Even today, I sometimes feel tremendous resistance towards preparing what I'm going to say to you, plus edit the whole thing every day. But as long as I show up, as long as I recognize what it is, it's always worked out well. So now that you know my background, I want to give you 4 tips that I found helpful to unlock this unlimited willpower for you. I also gone through the Blinkist version of the classic book Willpower by Roy Baumeister. The first tip is to know your wants and long-term wants. Most high performers in whatever fields talk fondly about setting goals, long-term goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals, etc. But I prefer to use the word want instead of goal. To me, it feels so much stronger and more related to myself, inspired to take action. To me, it feels like whenever I hear goals, okay, am I going to reach it? What happens if I don't reach it? Am I a failure because I don't reach it? But I think of want, it's not even thinking anymore. It's just instant craving, and with instant craving comes instant action. Then you simply do the things necessary because you really want that. But then you have these different time horizons too, because I could want a cookie right now, but if I want to be jacked in the long term, it's much better for me to eat more healthier stuff. And this is probably the universal problem across fitness, self-improvement, and probably everything when you sacrifice the long term for the short term. In the moment, it can be so hard. This is where the second tip comes in, which is surf the urge. In Indestructible, which is one of the best books I've ever come across, the author Nir Eyal recommends that whenever you feel this itchy and sometimes even painful experience of craving and wanting something right now, pay full attention to it. Set aside 10 minutes and just observe it like a researcher. How does it feel in the face? How does it feel in the hands? How does it feel in the feet, in the chest area, in the pelvic area and stuff like that? See how it feels like. If you think about it, feelings have two components. First, we have the actual stimulus, like the sensation that we objectively feel, and then we also have our interpretation of it, whether we like it, whether we don't like it, or more likely want to get rid of it as soon as possible. That's why we are twitching and tensing and all that stuff. But just like we learn to eat food we not like, and especially in my case, when I was a child, I absolutely despised oatmeal for all my life. I couldn't even be close to that. But now I eat oatmeal every single day. If we can eat and learn to like good food, then we can do the same thing for the feelings. We can recognize that it's happening, being more familiar with it, so that when it happens again, it's no longer getting the same anxious response anymore. And this also includes being tired. Yesterday, as I'm recording this, I felt particularly lethargic after the morning meditation, but then I recognized the feeling of being tired and decided it was still okay to have that feeling, but I could still do what I want. And once I did that, there was no problem with energy and all that stuff. Which brings us nicely to this next tip, in which you want to think about momentum and not motivation. Take for instance a normal car. It's quite unreasonable to put in the sixth gear and expect it to go instantly to full speed like that. You have to put in the first gear and go a little bit slower, and then second gear, third gear, whatever, until it moves so fast so you can put in the highest gears now on the highway and having fun. In the same way, when we believe in motivation, we have this expectation that we should either work in sixth gear full speed, being 100% motivated and energized and on top of our game, or just stay there procrastinating and doing nothing. But if we accept being slow, if you accept being tired and being afraid as a natural consequence of starting out, we can actually move and then accelerate fast. I have discovered that the more often I do in the moment uncomfortable action, I'm actually trying to be as uncomfortable as possible every day, every moment, it becomes easier and easier to start. I remember more than 1 year ago when I was deeply into learning about flow and tried to set up this magic flow routine, all this kind of music and ritual just to get me in the perfect state to write my school essay that I didn't want to fail, of course. But now I simply get on the bus, bring in my phone, bring in Notion, and then 30 to 60 seconds later, I just tap from where I was. Which brings us to the fourth and final tip, which is identity-based habits. Probably the most effective way to do good activities regularly. Athletes have no problem showing up and doing their workouts because they are athletes. Salespeople sell because they are salespeople. And in the same way, we can see ourselves as disciplined people, as unlimited willpower. But of course, if you happen to call yourself not disciplined before, it might seem like a lie or a delusion at first. But the magic happens when you look at your current surroundings and tasks and ask, what would a disciplined person with unlimited willpower do? And once you ask that, most often I found that we know deeply within us what is the best for us, but do not want these horrible sensations within ourselves, what we call fear of just being tired if we try to pursue them. But if you're a disciplined person with unlimited willpower, you anticipate these waves of sensations, but move forward anyway. Almost like there's a wind coming at you, but you still move forward because you gotta get home. And from there, you can craft your entire day based on that identity. And after a couple of days, these habits are so solid, so you don't need this unlimited willpower anymore, but need to move to the next challenge instead. That's probably one pitfall for people being disciplined, that they like the disciplined stuff, but need to move up to the next phase and so forth. All of this, together with the previous tips of knowing your long-term wants, surfing the urge, and thinking momentum instead of motivation. This is how I've been able to always show up to whatever challenge I wanted for 7 years now, whether it was Pokémon Go, writing books and articles, and now YouTube showing up to you every day. I strongly believe that once you incorporate all of these tips too, you will, just like me, have forgotten what willpower is because it's unlimited. And as always, I'm interested to hear your thoughts about it. What is your experience around discipline? And since it's a huge topic, is there any challenge you still have from time to time so I can help you become the most productive person possible? Until then, thank you so much for sticking around, and always remember that you're the most amazing human being alive.